of us again. You better go get you a lottery ticket because you just might win. It's your boy T Streams holding it down in the D. It's my homie, the living legend Larry, holding it down in the DMV. Fellas, how you doing?
All is good, man. All is good. On a
Man, don't forget to give yourself that shine, man.
Oh yeah, I'm here too. Yeah, I'm here too. I'm here. I'm just here, man. That's all I'll say. I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, we've got a nice show for you guys. We appreciate the love that you give us. A lot of people hit me up, sharing our content, sharing Larry, sharing T Streams, sharing the black people we network with, B. Avery and E-Man. They put out good work, ladies and gentlemen. So rocks with them. Tonight, we're going to cover a couple of issues the fellas sent me. So we're going to talk about that movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. Does it deserve Oscar nominations? We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about a black couple in California that was getting scammed because they're black. In terms of the appraisal of their home, I got the full scoop, man. You know, us three folks up here, we know this stuff has been happening. It's happened to us, but we have to keep putting this on the news so that people will think twice before they want to do this kind of craziness. And then we're going to finish it all off, ladies and gentlemen. We missed the stock show that we was going to do Sunday because it's cold in North Carolina. We had a polar vortex come and knocked out my internet. And shouts out to all my people in Texas and crazy places where they never get polar vortexes. Cynthia Charles is in the building talking about how cold it is. We feel you. Be safe. Let's dive on into it. But before we do it, fellas, we got to shout out the audience. Moochie Shy in the building. Cynthia Charles in the building. Stay warm. If you have to, get you a space heater if you need it. Just make sure you pay attention to it.
Right.
Be more careful in the building. Bruce McFadden. My friend Vanessa Todd. Tressa C is back in the building, and she said it's cold where she at, but no snow. Oh, no, she said no work, snow day. Okay. Now, folks, for y'all that don't know, places in the deep south, I don't even think they have a snow day budget. So when the snow comes, they got to go borrow money from some other budget in the city to handle the snow and all that. So, but where T Streams live at, snow is nothing but water under the bridge for them. I mean, they wade in the snows. Ain't that right, T Streams?
Man, I tell you, I'm up early this morning with the blower out there trying to get this stuff about it. They say we supposed to wake up to about 8 or 9 more inches.
Okay. I saw that. My brother, and my folks in Texas and Mexico and everywhere that's getting this. Are y'all ready to finally believe in global warming and climate change? Finally, because I don't know what else is going to tell you. The lady on the news said parts of lower Texas has not seen this much snow since the early 1900s. Well, none of us living then. None of us. And they say these things that happen to the earth and its climate, they come in century notes. So take heed, be warm, let's be safe. And fellas, let's dive into it. First thing we're going to talk about, Judas and the Messiah is getting rave reviews. Fellas have seen it, and I'm going to be Oprah, the black male Oprah, and I'm going to interview these guys on if this movie has enough juice to get Oscar nomination. Take a look at this clip, and then we'll discuss it.
You're looking at 18 months for the stolen car. 5 years for impersonating a federal officer. Or you can go home.
The Black Panthers are forming a rainbow coalition of oppressed brothers and sisters of every color.
Wow. And for those of you that don't know what the story is about, let me give you a little context, because that's what I do on this channel. This is based on the true events of Fred Hammond. He was the chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, and his fateful betrayal by FBI informant Willie O'Neill. That was played by Lakeith Stanfield. Fred Hampton was played by Daniel. Y'all gonna have to help me out with this brother named Kaluuya. And
yeah, Daniel Kaluuya, something. I think that's how you say it.
It was directed by Shaka King, Writers are Will Burson, Shaka King, and some other good people got on this joint. Ryan Coogler is associated with this too, ladies and gentlemen. So first things first, I'm going to give it to my man T Streams because he said when I asked him, "Did you see it?" When people give you a one-word answer, that tells you that they got a lot going on in their brain. So T Streams, break it down for me, my brother. What did you see and how did you feel about this movie?
Well, from a movie critic standpoint, man, I think this has to be in the top tier, like the top 2 or 3 movies of the entire year from what I've seen that's actually expected to come out this year. It has a very, very strong emotional pull to it, man. It makes you think, especially for those who were living during this time, and for those who had parents, it really, watching this movie really made me think, and it challenged me in some areas that that I would frequently overlook, but man, like I say, when it came out that Friday, I had watched it twice. I had watched it twice, and not in the span of once in the day and once in the evening. When it went off, I cut it back on and watched it right back to back because I wanted to make sure what I saw is what I saw. And and even afterwards, I went and checked out the little documentary with the real guy who was the betrayer in this movie did a documentary, and I actually went back and watched that as well. This movie pulled me in, man. One, because my mom is she's into the new Black Panther stuff, and so I really enjoyed the movie, man. It made me sad at some points because I'm sitting up here looking at like, damn, how can they? Why would a brother do another brother like this in the middle of all this racial tension? But it's always been the same. Whites have done this for the longest, have used us to bring us down, and so it's not a new strategy. But when you're watching this, it was just real wild. It was real amazing. But I think what intrigued me most was that at the end, when I found out that this young man was 21 years old, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, damn, he's doing some real power moves for the Black community and for the cause and for the struggle at 21. What was I doing at 21?
Exactly.
It wasn't nothing on that caliber, And so I had a newfound respect for this young man and his legacy, man. But the film was actually awesome. I sort of wish the film was written and portrayed from the standpoint of the initial antagonist and not exactly Fred. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I could deal with that. But if I could just change one thing with the movie, I would change the fact to be able to see the movie pay homage to the young man, Fred, more so than the one that perpetrated his demise. Because Dude was a powerful brother.
Yeah, he was, man. And well said. Larry, I'm going to give the ball to you. Larry, you want me to tell you when I knew this thing was going to go way left? Do you want me to show you the moment I knew this shit was going left? This was the moment when I knew this shit was going left. I was like, God, don't be more careful. He done. First of all, you trying to rob your people, take somebody's convertible, you get caught, and in order to get out of doing 5 years in jail, you try to take down someone who media and how can I put this nicely? Anglo-Saxon purveyors are trying to call a movement to give equal rights and freedoms to black people. They're trying to call to do everything but a child of God, a communist movement, socialist movement, all the names we still hear to this day. And for those of you that didn't know and learn in this movie just how racist J. Edgar Hoover was, all I can say is go do your homework and how he felt about Martin Luther King. Larry, I'm shaking your hand, my brother, but not in this way. And
Yeah.
what did you think about the whole thing, my brother Larry?
Well, I hate to disappoint, man.
Oh my goodness. Finally, the busiest YouTuber on the planet didn't get a chance to do his assignment.
No, I watched it.
Oh, okay.
I watched it, but
You didn't like
here's
it?
the thing. I was a little disappointed. And I felt like the movie was lacking emotional depth. Like I didn't feel connected to any of the characters in a good or a bad way on either side. I feel like they didn't go into enough background or history of either of the two main characters, either William O'Neill or Fred Hampton. They just either one of them. So I never got a chance to feel like I knew them enough to care about them, So when something good or bad happened to them, I was sort of indifferent because I didn't feel anything about it. I was just sort of a spectator just watching. And now, like as an example of a movie where we all, because like we know the story. We know this story. We all knew what was going to happen. It wasn't like we didn't know what was going to happen. We've seen the documentaries about William O'Neill. We've seen documentaries about the Panthers. We know what happened to Fred Hampton. It's not a mystery. Mm-hmm. So, but when I watched Malcolm X, X, the Malcolm X movie that Spike Lee did, we all know what happened. I mean, I had read multiple books about Malcolm X. I've listened to his tapes. We knew how he died. There was nothing in that movie that was going to be a surprise. But the way that movie was made, we had enough background on Malcolm X to see why he became the person that he became. And we became invested in him as a person. And even though we knew how he was going to get taken out, we knew when he was going to get taken out, we were still like, no, I hope we wanted something to happen that was going to stop it because we were so invested in him as a person. The filmmakers had done a great job of going back into time and telling us the stories of where he came from, and we got to see his growth. We didn't see anything with Fred Hampton. It just sort of started from we didn't see anything about O'Neill either. It was sort of like he had a botched robbery, and then literally they cut to where he's in a Black Panther meeting. And then we saw nothing of the background of Fred Hampton. We didn't get to see anything of how he came up and what struggles he might have possibly have had that led him to the movement. Or, it was just nothing. They gave us nothing to hold on to really care about these guys,
Well, for me,
feeling nothing for them.
For me, I didn't need any of that. I feel like maybe the writers kind of expected us to know what preempted Fred to be in the position he was in because of the era. Now, I do agree with what you're saying, but for me, I didn't need to come into this story with all the background because I already knew what was going on during that era in life. We had Martin Luther King, we had J. I already knew all that. So I'm invested in seeing Black people progress, and I wanted to see what was this man's account of how he was trying to get people to join the movement. And I think the overall narrative, when you slice what happened then to what is going on now, was supposed to be the emotional attachment we're supposed to get. That we are light year. Well, I'm not even going to say light years. And on the calendar, we are many years beyond the 60s and 50s. We're beyond that. But the issues that was going on back then continue to happen now. And our very next story is a part of that, with a black couple getting railroaded with the refinancing of their home for a whole lot of money, creating generational wealth. But the issues they had back then was worse than that. Like they would just look at you and just basically call you an N-word, tell you to get out the bank, you know? So I think I think the writers didn't want to go in depth about the background because they kind of feel like maybe with all the issues people have been through in the last 4 years, we was already at that point. For me, I still enjoyed the movie, Larry. And believe me, Larry, I agree. I do get what you're saying. I agree with it, but it didn't take away from the movie for me. It didn't take it away. So having said that, Larry, I guess you're saying no to the Oscar nominations, no to award nominations and all that.
Well, you know, it's interesting. People have been saying that Daniel Kaluuya's performance was this Oscar caliber performance. I didn't really see it as that. I wasn't that inspired by it. I mean, I felt like there were a couple of strong scenes that he had, like the scene where he was giving the speech, you know, and you know, the one where you know, where the white FBI agent showed up in the crowd, and he was, you know, after he had gotten released from prison. And I mean, that was a nice scene. I mean, it was a nice performance in that scene, but I think overall his performance was just okay. And I'm not saying that it was because he's a bad actor, because we know he's not. I just think it was just okay, an okay performance from an okay script. And I think that, I mean, honestly, if I was going to pick someone from that movie to give an Oscar to, it most likely would be Lakeith Stanfield. I think that even though I didn't like his character, I didn't like what he was doing in there, I think his performance was way stronger than anybody else's in that movie.
Well, I think that's who people are calling for to get the Oscar, Larry. And T-Strings, what do you think in terms of the acting?
I enjoyed it, and I think more so the story, like I was saying earlier, the story is pretty much surrounded around William O'Neill. I think it's his story more so than it is Fred's story.
It is.
Now from you know, just from my perspective, man, like I was imbued with all kind of emotion when I was watching it. I mean, just speaking for myself, I mean, it was at times like, you know, I started like really, really thinking like, oh man, want to throw my fist up, you know? It was I mean, that's, you know, I'm sitting up here watching, and I'm sitting up here like, hey, yeah, man, I dig it. You know, want to throw the fist up, and because I'm feeling it, but at the same time, it was also pulling from a dark place as well, because you know, it got me to the point where it was one of them films where I'm beginning to question, you know, folks, you know, around me and their ulterior motives and all kind of stuff, because I'm looking at all this go on and I'm like, dang, man. And the crazy thing about it that we see throughout the movie, when this man is dealing with the feds, he keep referring to Fred now as his friend. Mm-hmm. And so that lets you know the level of betrayal that he was out for to get up out of 5 years of prison?
5 years.
Oh my God. And so, you know, you befriended someone, became his lieutenant and right-hand man, and kept things stable and rebuilt while he was away, to turn around and you couldn't give it up after they told you that they was gonna kill him. You know,
man.
I was imbued with all kind of emotions, man. I was like really, really tricked watching this film, because I'm like, at some moments I was very angry, And then at some points, I wanted to cheer. At different points, I felt, sorry for the struggle, seeing that some of our people had to go through. And then I was like happy when they was busting at the police and like, yeah, I'm like, get your get back, And so I was overwhelmed with all different types of emotions while watching it, and it's probably one of the main reasons why I actually watched it twice. As far as the acting, I think they all did a pretty good job. Portraying the characters. Could they have went deeper into to some of their background histories, what brought them to that point? I'm assuming that they probably could have, but I was satisfied with the way the movie was displayed.
Yeah,
the only time that I felt a real sense of like deep emotional depth in that movie was when what's his name, Jake Winters, went off on the deep end when he found out his friend had been killed, and that's because the filmmakers had spent a little bit of time on that storyline. I mean, we saw him hanging out with his buddy, and then when his friend got shot, was in the hospital. We saw that he went to the hospital to try and talk to him, and the cops wouldn't even let him talk to him. He asked if he can leave him some books and magazines, and they wouldn't even let him do that. And so we got to see that, that he was concerned about him, because it wasn't just like, oh, this is just some fellow Panther. This was his friend, and he went to go see his friend in the hospital. It wasn't like anybody else went there to go see him. It was just him, because that was his friend. And so you get an idea of these two men had a real friendship and a connection. And when the guy died and he found out that they had killed him, then you get the understanding. Even then when he went to go try and talk to the guy, we get a sense of this guy was really a sort of a sweet kid. Like, he went there to go talk to this janitor and say, "Hey, what happened? This was my friend. I just want to know what happened to my friend." And the guy wouldn't talk to him. And even though the guy was armed, it wasn't like he pulled the piece out on the guy and was threatening him. The guy pushed him away and it fell out from underneath his coat. And even then, he just picked it up, put it away. And he even told him, like, I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to find out what happened to my friend. But you can see how that sort of in that moment, the guy just felt a sense of hopelessness, and there was nothing left for him to do except to go and get some revenge. And he, and those cops went after him, and he went and shot those cops, and he killed them. That scene, like when the cop, after he shot the cop, shot him, and he shot the cop, and the cop is on the ground, and he's saying, "Please, please." You could see in the guy's face he was hurt, but that begging that the cop had, he had nothing for him. He was like, there was nothing. You were just in the moment before this trying to shoot me down like a dog. You murdered my friend who was strapped to a hospital gurney, and you're begging me for mercy. No. In that moment, that was the only time on this movie I felt some real emotional depth. I just felt like everything else, they sort of just glossed over it and gave it short shrift. I mean, I don't get me wrong. This was a 2-hour movie, and generally I don't advocate for very long movies. But I think this might have been one of those times they could have done with a long-ass, Spike Lee 3-hour and something minute joint, because I think they could have done a lot with some real background. Some people just don't know about the Black Panthers. This idea of Black people roaming the streets, doing patrols to protect, like the scene where the guy rolled in there to check on the store owners because the cops were in there harassing them. People have no idea about the history behind that, and they didn't touch on it at all. They didn't explain it at all. If you know nothing about the Panthers, that there's large parts of this movie that make absolutely no sense to you, and
which is why I said I certainly can agree with your point. That's why I said I can certainly agree to that. But I kind of feel like, Larry, every time we do these, do we have to teach them intricate history? Shouldn't they know some of this already?
But they don't. This is part of that history lesson for them because let's be real, they're not teaching about the Black Panthers in school to either black kids or white kids. And so if you don't have parents that took the time out of your day and their day and our lives and their lives to teach us about this stuff, you're not going to know. Your experience with the Black Panthers is going to be a cool retro t-shirt. And that's about it. And so if they don't take the time to teach them, because a lot of people are learning about these organizations and these movements and these groups from the movies, and if we don't give them some background, they're just gonna think, oh, these were just some guys that were running around with guns harassing the police officers in their neighborhood. Like they were talking about get the police out of our neighborhoods and F the pigs. They didn't talk about why. They didn't give any reason for why. They needed to show the why so people could understand why these people were so virulent about this, why they were so frustrated, why they were willing to pick up arms and stand in harm's way and willing to die for this. They didn't talk about it, so it just fell flat.
So having said that, fellas, so that we can move on for time constraints, Larry, 0 to 10, how would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give it probably I'm probably gonna give it a 7. I would have given it a 6, but I think Lakeith Stanfield gave it an extra point with his performance. Other than that, it fell pretty flat for me.
And I'm gonna give Lakeith Stanfield major props too, because he went on our man E-Man's channel, check his link in video description, and did an interview where he got up there and cried. And that interview is red hot right now, over 50,000 views. T-Stream.
You know what? Before T-Streams go, one last thing I want to say. That accent that Daniel Kaluuya was I don't know what that was. I don't know what that accent was. But I think he needs to go work with his voice coach some more, because that didn't work, man.
Did you like
Did you
like his Wakanda accent?
I mean, it was easier than this one.
Damn. Damn. T-Streams is on you. Where would you rate this movie now?
Man, I'm going to probably give it an 8.5. Man, I really liked it.
Okay.
And probably I'll probably rate that like that. One, because of the emotional attachment that I had to the film, and then me personally, I'm familiar with the story and the background. So while watching it, I wasn't aloof or thrown for any loops or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Like Larry said, somebody that may not be familiar with it, some things may actually, confuse them or throw them off, or, because they don't have any background story to it. But I didn't have that issue, but I'm gonna say about a good 8.5.
Okay. I give it a 7.5. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, it is definitely a watch. And we're moving on to the next story. Kind of deals with some of the issues for why we even had a Black Panthers party. T-Streams and Larry both was talking about this story. If you're ready to be slightly upset, get ready, because some of us who have dealt with this for years and years, we're used to it, but we're still fighting the same battle. It is about a Black couple trying to get some money for their home, trying to get some things done to create generational wealth. Come to find out, the ugly head of racism popped up again. Take a look at this.
It's certainly no secret that home ownership is the pathway to building wealth in America. But what's hard in the Bay Area is even harder for some.
And tonight, a look at the growing inequity in home ownership rates in the Bay Area. ABC 7 News race and culture reporter Julian Glover has the story of a Marin couple who almost got cheated out of $500,000.
You know what I mean? It was work, but it was exciting.
Paul and his wife Tanisha Austin felt like they captured a slice of the American dream in 2016 when they purchased their first home together, this original Marin City pole home. But it wasn't without challenges.
As soon as like a house came on the market, You go in, you put your bid in, and then you get outbidded by like 100,000 or more rather quickly. And that can be, you know, a little bit depressing.
They bought the home off market from another black family hoping to make homeownership a reality for a young black couple. After moving into the home built in the 1960s, the Austins staged major renovations, adding an entire floor and more than 1,000 square feet of space, along with a deck, new floors, a fireplace, and new appliances. Then they got it appraised.
I read the appraisal. I looked at the number. I was like, this is unbelievable.
The family tells me the appraiser was an older white woman, and they're convinced race was a factor. The home appraised for $989,000, just $100,000 more than the Austins got it appraised for before they started the work, despite $400,000 in renovations.
It was like, you know, it was a slap in the face.
The Austins immediately called their lender and pushed back. After a month of escalating their complaints, they were approved for a second appraisal. When the date came, they got creative.
We had a conversation with one of our white friends, and she was like, no problem, I'll be Tanisha. I'll bring over some pictures of my family. She made our home look like it belonged to her.
And it worked.
So it appraised for 1.482.
Yeah.
Which was 50% more than what it appraised for by a couple weeks prior.
Almost 1.5, $500,000 more.
The Austins were outraged and believe this is another ugly result of larger systemic issues.
There are implications of the ability to create generational wealth or pass things on if our house is appraised for 50% less than what is valued at.
We know discrimination is in nearly every aspect of the home buying process, and really we need to be addressing it as an industry.
Discrimination in the housing market comes in many forms and has a long history in our country and in the Bay Area, leading to alarmingly low rates of Black Americans owning their own home. Black home ownership lags across the country, with less than half, only 44% of Black Americans owning their own home in 2020. Compare that to 74% for white Americans. Looking at the Golden State, just 34% of Black Californians own a home. In the Bay Area, those numbers are even lower. Just 33% of Black San Francisco residents own a home, compared to 61% of white San Franciscans. The numbers are more drastic in San Jose, with a Black home ownership rate of 31% and a white home ownership rate of 65%, more than double.
Why are we seeing such a great disparity?
There's still problems in the housing industry of Black people being steered away from white neighborhoods, even though that is technically illegal, or Black people not having the same access to mortgages that white people have.
According to the National Association of Realtors, Black applicants are rejected for mortgage loans at rates 3 times higher than that of white applicants. Another factor suppressing Black home ownership.
African Americans have nearly double the amount of student loan debt than we see for white homebuyers. So that's just one of the many hurdles that African American homebuyers are really strapped with and holds back their buying power.
And the pandemic has made things worse. The representative from NAR stressed closing the homeownership gap is essential to closing the wealth gap in our country. To make that happen, equity in housing and access to affordable homes must be the central focus. The Austins agree.
If we are aware that implicit bias exists in other systems, police, school, why wouldn't they also exist in the housing market? And then what can we do to, fix that?
There could be help on the way in the form of 2 Biden administration proposals. The first would extend $15,000 in down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. The other, a $100 billion fund to update existing and create new affordable housing.
Oh, my Lord, fellas, Lord have mercy. You talking about an increase for putting Karen, I can't even call her Karen because she was on our side. You're talking about, I'm going to call her Becky. You're talking about a $500,000 increase in the property of your house because you slid a Becky in there, pretended to be white. Fellas, let me tell you how I've had to deal with this too. I'm in a business circle in the Triad with other business owners. Some are minorities, some are women, blah, 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 right? I've been in there with a woman who never shows her face at this. I'm not even gonna say what her business is, but she owns a business that's predominantly caters to Anglo-Saxons because of discretionary income. She never showed her face. No one ever knew she owned it. They thought that the person that owned it was an Anglo-Saxon. Fellas, why is it the minute she decided to be the face of her company, nothing else changed about the business, only that she was there more, she started greeting the people, she started telling them, I'm the owner. Why is it that she saw a decline in her revenue 30%? And the very next year, she goes back to having the other girl be the general manager, the Becky being the general manager. Her revenues go back up because people assume Becky is the owner. It happens everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what we mean when we talk about getting squeezed. You have Colin Kaepernick taking a knee for injustice, police brutality. It happens across the spectrum. Do you really think that the only place people have these implicit biases is with the police department? No, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you would expect in California that you wouldn't see this as much. But I'm here to tell y'all, racism lives everywhere in the United States. And when you see this type of foolishness, you have to call it out. You have to stamp it out. And I hope that whoever that person was that did their first refi got a stern stamp out, because they certainly ain't no other excuse for why they didn't get that money that they needed. Larry, I'm going to give it to you first.
Well, you know, a couple of funny things. I posted this on my Facebook page, and after T-Stream sent it, and I actually sent it to a group, a thread that I'm on with some couple of friends from back home. And one of the ladies on the thread was like, "Yeah, this is my cousin. I know this story personally because the guy's my cousin." And
the guy, your cousin?
The guy it's a friend of mine's cousin.
Okay, so, I was about to say I like him. He drives a Tesla.
Yeah, but I talked to I talked to my mom after she had read the story on my Facebook page, and she sent me a message, and she told me, she said, "Hey, she said, when your father and I, sold your childhood home," she said, the realtor, when she was going and doing the appraisal, she put on the home that we were, apparently, I guess it was not just, I guess it happened twice. Once is when they were buying the home, and once when they did the appraisal. First, when they were buying the home, she put that my parents were white. And she then, I guess they saw it on the paperwork, and I guess they called her to talk to her and tell her there was a mistake. And she said, "No, let me explain to you what's happening here and why you're going to leave it like this." And so, I mean, they understood, and that's what happened. I mean, luckily they were able to get the mortgage. And, this is back in the day when they weren't really letting a lot of black folks. I mean, it's not that they could legally stop you, but they would just not sell you the home. And luckily at the time, my dad was a cop. And so they allowed him to move in the neighborhood because he was a cop. And then when they sold the house, apparently the real estate agent had to do the same thing. They put that they were white. So when they went and got the house appraised, they didn't get screwed. And I mean, it's unfortunate because, like the woman was talking about and she was mentioning in the piece there, she was like, it affects the amount of generational wealth that can be passed on. So if you're taking whatever, I mean, we see the wealth gap that is between whites and blacks, and it's astronomical. I mean, it's at such a point, it's at such a divide. I don't know if we'll ever make up that gap. I hope that we will, but I don't know how. But
40 acres and a mule make up some ground quick, as long as y'all don't go buy Cadillacs.
There is that. So, but if you're taking people's wealth that they build, if you take, people work hard and they have jobs. I don't know what this brother does, but whatever he does and she does, they're doing okay because they bought a $900,000 house and put $400,000 into it. They have a lot of money. And if you're taking people's wealth and just saying, nope, that wealth does not exist, that value does not exist, you're just basically screwing them. And so, there's not a lot of black people that can afford to buy a home like that. And so likely when they sell it, unless they hold true to what the owners originally did, they're probably going to sell it to a white person. So unless they go through and have one of their white friends come through and get it, when it comes to get appraised again, unless they have it made up to look like a white person lives there again, they might be looking at getting screwed all over again. So, but I guess and this is the other thing with that whole situation. They said they bought this house off market from another black family. Most of us don't have that opportunity. Most of us don't have the opportunity to say, okay, here's a black family or here's a black couple that lived in this house and maybe they had kids and their kids have been raised and gone. Now they want to go live somewhere else. Maybe they don't have to worry about the maintenance of a large home. So we're just going to go find a nice black couple to sell it to. Most people don't have that. Right. Most people are forced to contend with the market as is, And so, I mean, it's just frustrating when and I say this frustratingly because as someone who's currently in the market to buy a home, my wife and I have been looking for homes. We have been searching for 2 years. We haven't been able to find anything we really like. We found a few things and then, something fell through with them. And we decided we were going to up our price. And so we were like, okay, we upped our price. We found a home. We were surprised the first weekend out after we upped our price. We found a home that we actually liked. We went, said, yep, this is the one we want to go ahead and buy it. We didn't even, our real estate agent said we can put in a bid, but it doesn't even make sense because they were like, the real estate agent already came back and said that we have a number of bids over asking already. It's like 20, 30,000 over asking. Now, part of me, when I hear this story, part of me wonders, like, maybe we should have put in a bid anyways. Maybe that real estate agent was full of shit and didn't have any bids. She just didn't want any black folks living there. And so maybe we should have said, we'll put the bid in anyways, But it is frustrating when people come in. And there was one other house we looked at a while back. We decided not to put in a bid on it, but we did go look at and see what it sold for. And it was listed for like $525 and it sold for like $615, So, people are selling stuff way above asking. It does get frustrating. So
I feel you. Right now, Larry, honestly, since before the pandemic, here in North Carolina, it has certainly been a seller's market, because buyers are just paying all these astronomical prices above what asking is. So maybe that was contributing in that situation. But T-Streams, you own property just like I do, commercial property just like I do. Talk about how it made you feel when you saw what this brother was going through, considering he spent the money to renovate the property. And now, Larry, you might not know the saying, but there's a saying for us folks in real estate that do this. It's called BRRRR: buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. That's how you make money. You buy, you rehab, you refinance, you repeat, and if you're not living in it, you rent it. And then you pull your equity out of it. That's how you make money. T-Streams, talk about it.
Yeah, man. When I sent that over to you, I had saw it and I was like, damn, because to me, systemic racism is a bigger threat to the black people in the United States than blatant racism can ever be. Okay. Because though somebody calling you a nigga or, thinking that you're a monkey or that that you are below them, those things are pretty superficial compared to, the powers that be that can actually move and shape things, that can stop you and hinder you from advancing and doing other things as far as living your American dream. Now, the same thing happened to me once before. I just, on the surface, I don't look very impressive. I wear my hats and my sneakers, and we was looking at some houses one day, and I'm just average old Joe. And me and my wife, we saw a house that we liked. It was nice. And so, the guy that was doing the walk-in for us, I told him, I just I just basically told him, I said, man, here, well, I want this, And then he told me what the price was, and he was like, well, you see all these cars right here mean that it's been getting a lot of showings.
Oh God.
And so, and I was like, that's cool. I want whatever it is, we gonna take it. We're gonna, we'll do it. And then I told him, I said, well, I'll just overbid. I'll just overbid it because, when I saw it, I was like, this is the house for us. And the man, do you know this guy? He sat there and told me, he said that I could not overbid by X amount of dollars. I had to be within a 2 or 3% range of the appraisal value of the home. That's dude. I promise to God, man. So what he was trying to do was suppress my buying power. That's what he was trying to do, and that's where our heads clash at, because I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Who made this? Who made this rule? And so the only thing I could think of is, oh, you don't want to see me come out here and take this from your comrades, and the whole situation. It just went left, and it just went left, and he could have, if he would have did his business, he could have made some change off of it, but that dude, seeing that really pissed me off because I was able to relate to it to a certain extent on how they tried to say how much. Okay, so if I overbid, then I can only overbid, just a few competitive dollars. I can't do like everybody else and put a stamp on it and okay, make the next man just give up. I can't do that. All right, that's what you're saying I can't do. But this is just some bullcrap you throwing in the game right here. But needless to say, our stark disagreement right there on the property that particular day pulled us away from the market. And I really just hate to see this because some people, man, people work hard, and then a part of the American dream, regardless of how much a home costs, is someone being able to say, okay, this is my home that I worked hard, that I paid for. It is mine. I'm going to raise my kids here, or, I'm going to live here and my kids going, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to put up my picket fence, but this is mine. And to have the powers that be try to shackle you and, and hinder you from making certain advances that could propel you in your personal status or in your life is really just dead wrong. And here and when was this? This was like early last year, right before the dang on first shutdown here with the COVID stuff. And it was just, it's just terrible to see people having to see people go through that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I would say people, considering I've been through this countless amount of times, I'm always encouraging people to have multiple relationships with banks. I've got like 8 different bank accounts, and I know each and every one of these bankers personally. I get to know them so that when things come up, I know they got my back. And there are some banks I was going to go with that I didn't feel like they had my back. I cut them loose. It is enough for us to deal with racism, but we also have to deal with the pure damn nepotism that comes on in the real estate market that they pass down to their buddies before it gets to things like Redfin, Zillow, backdoor pocket deals and stuff like that we don't get our hands on because the nepotism passes it that way. So ladies and gentlemen, when you meet resistance, they expect you to give up the first time. That's what they expect. The brother in the video, he ain't give up. He went back to back. Keep fighting. Keep looking for someone else that can help you in that process to get these things that can enhance the overall quality of life, which we call life gains for you and your family. And now, Larry, you're going to love this one because there won't no life gain made on this. We're going to see a clip of my girl, Nancy P., talking about the obstructionist, traitorous, cowardice behavior of the GOP, in particular Mitch McConnell, in acquitting some of these people's favorite insurrectionist president. Take a look at this, and then we're going to follow up.
The big lie, stop the steal, the big lie that you talked about, stop the steal, was the momentum for getting these people there on the 6th. They honestly believe, for whatever reason, maybe too much social media, whatever. Watch Social Media, that movie. Why they were thinking that that was true, that the election was not legitimate, whatever the reason the president told them. So, okay, so that's the 6th. The week later, we impeach in the House. Thank you to those of you who participated right away. Jamie Raskin, Ted Lieu, and David Cicilline. Where's David Cicilline? They had it all written up and ready to go. Bipartisanly passed the House, and then 2 days later, ready with the case to take to the Senate. Oh, we can't receive it. Not a question. And then by the law, you're supposed to receive it and the next day start the trial. So for Mitch McConnell, who created the situation where it could not have been heard before the 20th, or even begun before the 20th in the Senate, to say all the things he said, oh my gosh, about Donald Trump and how horrible he was and is, and then say, but the time that the House chose to bring it over. No, we didn't choose. You chose not to receive it. So I think that's really important. And again, it doesn't matter. As Jamie and others have told us, you can have the case after the person is out of office. So it's an elementary discussion. The Senate rules in that way and honoring a precedent on this. So it didn't matter, except it was not the reason that he voted the way he did. It was the excuse that he used.
Larry, you've heard the term, you're watching history be made. You've heard that term correctly.
Right.
You are literally watching hypocrisy in action with every single one of the Republicans that decided they were too afraid of Donald Trump to convict his punk ass. They're actually saying, we don't care about an insurrection. Of course, unless you do it, unless somebody black does it, unless some woman does it. We don't care about insurrection. We don't care that our own lives was threatened. We are more afraid of Donald Trump than we are the people that came to threaten our lives on the day of the insurrection.
Yeah.
What Nancy Pelosi said is true. Mitch could have brought the thing to a trial before Trump got out of office. He chose to punt so that he could get up here and you see his mouth moving, but all the words is coming out of his ass. That's what he's doing. He's up here saying, vote your conscience. What Trump done was wrong, but he didn't vote to convict him. Okay? Shut the hell up. So, Larry, where do they go from here? What's the next? Trump is saying he's not done. He's saying he's going to try to run for something. He's going to, his movement is stronger than ever. But Larry, I honestly feel like you are seeing the destruction of the Republican Party. And this is why I say that. Trump basically told them people, why go vote in Atlanta and in Georgia because it's rigged, and they didn't show up to help the other Republicans. The Republicans lost. Okay, so there's going to be some elections coming up in 2022. Arizona is a battleground now. Mark Kelly, the astronaut that is a Democrat, is going to have to run again. If you have the crazy ass Trump candidate makes it, I think the rhinos in the GOP party are going to run. And then if you have the rhino make it, I can easily hear Trump bashing them, saying that they're the old school, don't go vote. Either way you look at it, it's bad for the GOP. But Larry, where do you see things going now that he's been impeached twice, acquitted twice, and what are we supposed to make of law and order in this country, which I thought they was the party of law and order?
I mean, the reality of it is this country is showing itself to be exactly who we thought it was. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I know people are saying, I keep hearing this on the news, that the Republican Party is going through some sort of identity crisis, and they're gonna potentially be fractured and splinter off and all. I don't believe that to be the case at all. I think what we are seeing from the Republican Party is exactly who we have thought they were, and that's it. I mean, black people have been saying the Republican Party is full of a bunch of racists, and they are. They're full of a bunch of extremists, a bunch of right-wing extremists, and they are. I mean, people were saying this before the election, saying, "Oh, Donald Trump is a lunatic," and we've seen so much of his craziness over the last 4 years. People aren't going to turn out and vote for him. Now, he did lose, but let's not forget we had record turnout. This was during a pandemic, by the way. We had record turnout on both sides, not just record numbers of people that voted for Joe Biden, but we had record numbers of people that voted for a Republican like Donald Trump, for Donald Trump. So the Republican Party is not near done. I mean, the only way the Republican Party is actually going to suffer any is if, I've heard some people say that there are some big name Republicans that are frustrated with the party. They don't like they don't like the base. They don't like the direction of the party, and they're thinking about starting their own new conservative party. That's the only way that I think the Republicans end up suffering out of this, is that if they decide they're going to start a third party, and that third party is a conservative party, because I think the Democrats will hold on to our base, and the Republicans will be splintered in that sense. But other than that, we have seen they're going to hold the line. They don't care about the country. They don't care about the people. What they do care about is their racial politics and power. That's it. We see it. And anybody who refuses to acknowledge it is they're doing so at their own detriment. I hear what Nancy Pelosi's saying. I hear what the Democrats are saying, but this is where I'm at with this. It's the time we have tried to do things in such a way that they could be looked at as being fair and bipartisan. Mm-hmm. It didn't work.
Nope.
It does not work. In this current climate, it does not work. And basically what we have seen is we are at war. And if those who don't think they are, for Nancy Pelosi, if you happen to hear this, if you don't think you're at war, they went in there. They went into your office, and they were in there not to vandalize your office, not to break your sign. They went in there to kill you. They went in there to find you, to give you an immediate trial, and to execute you. They were there to kill you. We are at war with these people. And if we don't start fighting back like we are at war with them, they are simply going to go ahead and win. They're going to come back in on the next election cycle. They're going to rally their base. They're going to show up and vote. And generally what happens during midterm elections, after one party has maintained power of the House, the Senate, and the White House, what happens is they lose seats. And so if we don't start fighting back the way they have been fighting, then they're going to come in and they're going to win. And so we need to stop being so fair about stuff. We need to stop playing. I hate to say it, by playing by nice rules. We need to skate so close to the line that the line, it becomes very, very blurry, where people are not clear. Where people have to start asking serious constitutional questions like, can they do that? Is that right? Are the Democrats on the right side of the law? Those are the questions that need to be asked, because the Democrats are doing things that are so close to the edge of the law to get stuff done that people are not sure they're playing within the rules. But then they can look and find out, yeah, basically, when you look at such and such subsection 31, paragraph A, such and such B, it gives them the authority to do this. Okay, people aren't happy, maybe a little obscure law or some underutilized, whatever in the law that allows people to do it, but it gets done. Those are the rules. That's the way we need to play this, because that's what the Republicans have been doing, and that's what they're going to continue to do. And so if we don't fight back like we have to we have to fight them like they're our enemy, because they are. They're acting like it. People can say, oh, we're all fellow Americans. No, they're not Americans. They are Republicans. They stormed the Capitol. They tried to overthrow the government. These are not Americans. These are Republicans. And we need to fight them like they are our enemy, because they act like it. And as long as they act like it, they are.
So T-Streams, Larry is calling for the complete opposite of Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. And obviously that shit ain't worked since she gave that speech.
No, I'm saying we do go high, and you stomp on, you squash them. What do you do when you see a bug? You go high, and then you squash them.
I don't do that. When I see a beetle, I put it on my hand, and I return it to nature. T-Stream, it is your turn. What do you feel about this whole Trump is acquitted mess?
You know what? It honestly, man, it didn't even surprise me. It didn't surprise me one bit. I didn't even watch the trial, but
me neither.
It didn't surprise me. I knew they were going to do that, and I knew that it was going to happen just the way it did. All right, but on the flip side, I do think what Trump has did was cause a divide within his Republican Party, because there is some that's like that's not for that, and then of course there's the Trumpalites.
Hold on, T-Streams. I have to acknowledge somebody. Damn, we got a $20 super chat from my folk over at Just My Opinion Reviews.
Man, that's Killmonger money right there.
Hey man, you ain't lying. Shouts out to my brother over there at Just My Opinion Reviews. He does great work. He's got reviews of Judas and the Messiah. He's got interviews on his channel. His link is in the description. His link is also in my YouTube featured channels. Check the brother out. His power is out in Texas. We're wishing him well, and all my people in Texas well. My brother, that $20 is heavy, man, and I appreciate it. But T-Streams, finish what you were saying.
Yeah, man. I do think that it causes. I think it causes a divide in the Republican Party that's going to reap some consequences when it comes around back to election for some of these guys to get some of their seats back. I think it's going to actually have an adverse effect. I really wish that. Oh, stop it again.
No, there it is.
Oh my goodness. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Trust a seed. Oh man. My God. You know what?
I might do a live stream on my channel.
All I can say is trust a seed. Together we have made life gains. You've been with this channel since we first started introducing people about stocks and everything, the power of stocks. So I must say I'm grateful to you. I hope you're staying warm. I know y'all Louisiana girls ain't really used to all that coldness and everything like that. But this $20 you gave on this super chat warms us all up. So through our heat, you be warm, my sister. Finish up, T-Streams.
Yeah. So, honestly, I hope it continues to go as I have foreseen it. But I do think Donald Trump has did the Republican Party a great disservice and has caused a great divide in them. And so I think they're going to lose quite a few more seats come around come next election spot. And we'll just have to see. But like I was saying a few episodes ago, man, some of these old heads that's like stuck in their ways. Them clowns.
Boy.
I guess.
She like, but Buzz tried to get me in trouble today on Facebook. And I ain't gonna say what you did, Buzz, but it was some similar situation to this right here. Buzz tried to get me in trouble, and I just said no comment.
But we glad to have you back, Tristan.
Yeah, we glad to have you. We're glad to have you. So finish up T-Stream, then we're gonna move to the stock picks for the week.
So, and yeah, as I was saying, dude, he jacked the Republican Party up. So at one point in time, it was just Democrats and Republicans. Democrats didn't like some of the Republican parties, but they tolerated them and stuff like that. Now it seems like, you really, really despise the whole Republican Party. And it got to the point that with this man in charge, man, the whole political thing has split families and friendships and all kind of crazy stuff, man. So of course, when it comes back around to election time, there's going to be some consequences. And I will say this: this man has the tainted aspirations to try to run again in 2024. Now that has to be some of the most silliest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Now, one thing I do know about Donald Trump is this clown got balls, and he got those. You can't take that from him. And he's just a fool that will come back and try to run. But man, you look at it, you've been impeached twice, and I don't know. The only thing I can think of why they acquitted him was because they was trying to salvage their own careers. That's the only thing I could think of. And in return, I think that may backfire on them. And so, which I hope it do, because we need to really get some of them clowns up out of there. It's just a whole bunch of boomfuckery going on up in Capitol Hill right now. Yeah, so fellas, we'll follow politics. Y'all know we don't shy away from politics. We don't care about the backlash that happens this channel, because we're gonna keep giving it to you. Now, we didn't get a chance to do our stock game plan yesterday, so I'm gonna make this very, very brief. I sent a copy to the fellas when I do my research and all that. So at the bottom is my top 10 list. We got Momo. It's a Chinese dating app. And research says you should buy a call or own the stock through January next year because they have so much more room to grow. It's almost like a discount for them. Green Power, ladies and gentlemen, Motors signed a deal with Berkshire Hathaway. Definitely either buy that or own it through the end of December. Nintendo, you can't buy call options on them, but you can own the share. Nintendo, ladies and gentlemen, had a run similar to Neo where their stock went up. It was something like 100 times because with everybody being inside the home and the pandemic and the Christmas sales, they just went through the roof. And they're estimating that more and more game consoles are being put in homes right now as we speak. There's a lot of games that they have and PlayStation have that are on back order because they can't make enough. So add them to your portfolio. ARC ETFW, the ETF. You want to get some of that. And what is that one in particular? That's Kathy Wood's ETF that deals with new internet technologies. So Elon Musk is getting ready to launch 5G satellite wireless that you can buy from Tesla to have in your home, which is why I continue to tell y'all Tesla is more than a car company. That's just one part of their portfolio, the main part, but they're doing other things, so check them out. Corsair is another component of video games. They sell headphones, they sell microphones for gamers. They also are sponsored by the World Gaming Tournament. Add those to your portfolio. SNLD for my people that's in the weed. That one's very low cost. Larry owns that one. Larry bought it when it was 19 cents, ladies and gentlemen, and currently the stock is $2.19. That brother done made him some money. Yeah. And I also got Walmart
Costco and Target on the list because Walmart is having earnings this week. And with them getting ready to pass stimulus that should hit in March, anybody that's a retailer in the form of Costco, Target, and Walmart, they are going to take a considerable bump between now and May. So that's why I have them listed. Morgan Stanley, one of their investment arms is thinking about getting into cryptocurrency. You might want to take a stab at them because you see every time someone legitimate says they accept crypto or exchange it, the stock goes through the moon. And Morgan Stanley is going to be probably buying up a bunch of cryptos to start doing exchanges. So that's something you can add to your list.
Didn't they say they were? It was some ridiculous amount of billions they were talking about buying.
It's right there at the top of my notes. You see at the very top, it says buying 150 billion Bitcoin.
You know, the crazy thing about this right here is that because Bitcoin has a finite number, they're not making any, they're not creating any more Bitcoins. It is what it is out there. If they buy $150 billion worth of Bitcoin, if they just hold it, the price is going to skyrocket because that just means there's that much less, there's that much fewer of it in circulation.
You got that
right.
Just
buying that much and holding it's going to drive the price through the roof.
Which is why I'm actually thinking about buying a coin. I'm actually thinking about it.
But see, when I see this,
a full coin.
When I see this and I see them talking about buying $150 billion in Bitcoin, I just think to myself, it's just begging for regulators to step in on this because it's giving way too much control in the marketplace of the value of it to small groups of people. If you can afford to buy $150 billion worth of Bitcoin, you know, you can, I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to corner the market, but they can pretty much control it. They can control how far it's going to go up and down at any given point.
Hell, if you can afford to buy 2 Bitcoin, you're doing good. I know cats out there that bought 3 and 4 when it was $15,000 and they sitting pretty now. Yeah. I mean, they sitting somewhere sipping mojitos all during the pandemic. I mean, just chilling. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing all that. So we'll see. I'm thinking about it. We'll see how much discretionary income I have left when next month gets here. And the last one on the list is one that Larry put me on to, ladies and gentlemen. Larry is getting hip to this thing. IPO is an ETF for those of you that want exposure to all the newest IPOs that come out within a 2-year window. That's how they do. They take the top ones, they add them to the list, and then the ones that aren't performing as well over the last 2 years, they boot them off and replace them with the best performing ones. So if you're someone who you like when these new stocks come out, but it hurts your stomach sometimes because you don't know if it's going to go up or go down, get some IPO and just sit on that one long term and know that every 2 years, they're rotating these stocks in and out for the new cycles. That one is going to become a long-term position in my portfolio. Larry, any feedback about your plan this week and how do you feel about this list?
Yeah, I like the list. You know, I've been eyeballing Green Power Motors a while ago. I should have bought them. It wasn't that long ago. They were like in single digits, and they were
$7, man. We talked about it. We talked about them when we talked about Riot Blockchain. They were $7.
And I should have just went ahead and bought them, but I didn't, and it's too late. Well, I mean, I can still get in, but you know that nice run up from a cheap price, and you know that IPO that happened last week, the Loan Depot, and I was saying I should have bought some of that. I almost bought 100 shares because they were at $15 and I didn't. Mm-hmm. They doubled overnight. The next day they opened up at like $33.
I saw that.
We were just talking about that.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
I need to start trusting my gut.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Sometimes trust your gut. Sometimes trust your gut. Most of the time, trust me. That's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do. And T-Streams, any comment, feedback you want to give before we get out of here about those stocks?
Man, tell me which one was it again that had to deal with the Tesla 5G that you was talking about?
That's ARKW ETF.
Okay, I was just over here trying to look.
The service is called Starlink.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but that's
it's high-speed internet that's basically satellite based. So in the past they've had satellite internet through like DirecTV and Dish and stuff, but it's always been very slow. Where Starlink is giving people true high-speed internet, like I think it's like gigabit speeds over satellite, which means that, and one of the reasons why I think it's so important, I mean, obviously it's great for anybody, but part of the reason why it's so important is because people who traditionally could not get either any internet service at all because they just didn't offer it in their area, or they couldn't get the high speed, will be able to get high speed with this. All they need to do is set up the dish, and then they're good to go.
And have you seen the little thing that they give you, Larry, so that you can connect to their system? It's like it's about
small.
it's about this big. You plug it in and it pulls your signal in, and it covers your whole house up to 3,000 square feet.
Yeah. It looks like a little satellite dish. It looks like looks like those little antennas that people used to use back in the day.
Yep. So
is that really available for everybody?
Yeah,
it's in beta right now.
Yeah, it's not available yet, but he's saying he's hoping to launch it in June.
You can get it. I mean, you can sign up for it because it's a public beta, so you can sign up for it, and if they select you, you can get it.
Yep.
So I signed up for it, but I didn't like when they emailed me back about it. I was like, I don't really need it. I just signed up for it to see if I can get it to try it, but I was like, I don't need it.
Well, don't worry. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna definitely try it, and I'm like, Elon, look, man, give me some of that dog coin, my brother. If you're really gonna make it do something, give me a couple of stacks of that dog coin. But,
I thought he was encouraging people to sell it. The last time I heard, he was encouraging people to sell.
Yeah, well, he done dropped another tweet today saying dog coin to the moon.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, dog coin is one of those things. It's only like, I think it's like 7 cents a coin or something like that. So it's nothing. I mean, I don't know how it works. I'm not sure if it's the same as Bitcoin where they have only a certain amount that will ever be. So I'm not sure if it's the same way, but at 7 cents a coin, I mean, I bought $25 of dog coin. I have 350 of them. I paid $25 for it. So, and it sort of was a throwaway because I figured if it does something like Bitcoin in 10 years and I become a multimillionaire with 350 coins, I'm gonna walk around talking about, oh yeah, this is the best investment I ever made. $25. I'm gonna act like I'm a genius.
What he needs to do, ladies and gentlemen, Roadblock IPO got pushed back to March. So what he needs to do is buy 350 shares of that Roadblock. And then I'm almost guaranteeing he'll be a millionaire 10 years from now.
Well, why did they push it? Why did they push it back?
From what I read, the conditions with Robinhood, they wanted that to cool down, and they're going to do a direct listing. And so they also wanted to give more time to let more and more people know that they're coming through. And they had one paperwork hurdle to get through because they were supposed to try to do this thing in December. And then they pushed it back to January. They pushed it back to February. And now they're saying officially they're coming in March. Yep. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. It's time for us to go sayonara. Be sure to subscribe to each and every one of these fellas' channels. They'll entertain you, they'll enlighten you, and they'll probably leave you feeling better about your day than the way you came into that channel. Oh, my Lord. Have mercy.
There we go.
Lord have mercy.
Last minute coming through.
Laney Womack. Oh, my goodness. Whoa. That's all I can say. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. People like you and this great audience keep me going through on days when I really don't feel like getting up here and providing you guys with at least an hour of some kind of entertainment. And speaking of which, Larry.
Uh-oh.
I've let my wife talk me into this, so I'm going to do it. Queen Sugar comes on tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. And my wife wants to do a live stream review of Queen Sugar when it goes off at 9 p.m. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see my wife up here, and you'll see me doing nothing but antagonizing her as only I can do to antagonize her all throughout the review of Queen Sugar. The new episode starts tomorrow at 8 p.m. You'll see us about 9:15ish once she gets her hair and makeup and all that stuff together. So we'll be here tomorrow too. Yeah, whatever it is. So mask up, stay safe, stay warm. My people in the frozen zone areas out there. And until that next sexy as hell video, we'll see you.
Peace.